Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to do a test of CTPs with Deadpool. And I think Deadpool is one of the most interesting characters to do a test like this for because he's one of the most popular characters in the game, and he's also one of, if not the best single character for PVE content, specifically World Boss, because of all the all defense down mechanics that he has on his skills. And so it's interesting, and a lot of players are wondering if a CTP of Energy is still number one, or if there's a possibility that Rage could be better. Now, my prediction, I actually haven't tested the CTP of Rage at all, but my prediction before we start is that this CTP of Energy will be as good, if not better, than the Rage CTP. So I don't expect to see a larger bump in terms of his stats or in terms of his damage when I switch over to the CTP of Rage. However, before we get into that, I do want to address the simple fact that you guys are probably wondering what the hell's going on with the gameplay. Well, it looks a lot crisper, and it might sound a little bit different too, because I'm actually playing directly off of a phone. I invested in a brand new device, the OnePlus 7 Pro. I'm not being sponsored to say that, I'm just being honest, and I invested in it partially because it could connect directly via USB-C to HDMI to my computer so that I could output the game for you guys. And now, because I'm playing on a phone, there is a smaller screen size. That's why the top and bottom are this static image of stars that I just randomly chose off the internet and wasn't inspired by anyone else on YouTube. But I want to ask you guys, first of all, do you like this new look? And, you know, save your final decision until you actually see all the gameplay, because it'll be completely lag-free from now on. But additionally, I want to ask you guys if you like the background, because we can always just drop the background and we can go full black. And what I'll do is, for the remainder of this video, I will leave the stars on, and then in the next video, or in a subsequent video a couple days later, I will take the stars off and just run it black. And then you guys over in YouTube land, you tell me what you prefer, because the Twitch folks have their preferences, but you guys get to choose your own, because it's your domain. So we're going to be going up against a Proxima stage. We're going to go and do stage 55. Now, 55 does seem pretty low for Deadpool, who can push way past 60, but we're not going to bring along strikers, and we're not going to do a full test. We're not going to obviously kill Proxima, but we're just going to bring in Deadpool with some damage buffs so we can see how fast he can take Proxima down to her third phase, which is, I believe, at 7 bars or 6. We're going to use double supports, and I'm going to be just playing as best as I can. Now, on the one hand, I do have practice with his rotation with a CTP of Energy, because before I had a CTP of Regen on him for PvP, I did have a CTP of Energy. So technically, it's a bit of a disadvantage to the CTP of Rage. However, I am playing on a phone now, and so I don't know if I'm going to be able to play well regardless. So I think my shitty gameplay is going to kind of even things out, and I think it'll be a pretty fair representation of Deadpool's overall value. There I procced on 4. Whether you're procking and trying to proc on a CTP of Energy or a CTP of Rage. There I procced on the tier 3 skill. There we go. Now we're going to do 1, and then we're going to follow that up with 3, and then we're going to do 4, cancel into 5, and this is with the proc with the, there we go. And okay, so that took 30 seconds. Okay, so he's doing too much damage. That's what I realized. There's no way that I could test out. Yeah, this is not going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to 55, but we're going to drop both of the supports. He's doing too much damage. It's not really an accurate representation. We're just going to throw in 2 characters who have like 0 connection to Deadpool, so they're not going to strike for him. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to... Oh, wait. Mantis gives a crit damage buff. There we go. There shouldn't be any buffs here. There shouldn't be any extra stuff. This should be a better representation. We don't want to go too fast, because if it takes, 20 seconds, that's a very small window of time. And then if we end up with a test like, 20 seconds versus 18 seconds, that's not really giving you any information that you can use, and that's not really helpful to you. So, okay, this looks a little bit better. I've never played Deadpool with that many supports, so I didn't know that was even possible to go that fast. We didn't get the proc on 4, so we cancel into 5. That's basically my philosophy when trying to proc on different skills. We're going to do 4, cancel 6, because 4 gives you the buff. We do get the proc on 6, which is nice. The only difference... Whoa, that's a lot of damage. Oh, I died. Holy crap. I knew I should have pressed 5. I was waiting to press 4, cancel 5 for the damage, but wow, I died? Okay, let's, wow, I can't believe I died. I think I died because I just, he doesn't have any damage reduction now from the supports. This is interesting. I died. Okay, well, whatever. Anyways, the only other difference now using a phone versus using Nox, which is the emulator I was using before with a controller, is that now I have to use, I'm using tap controls. I'm using my fingers rather than using a controller, which means it's less precise. But I'm also having to look down. So if you guys are missing me looking at the camera, that's kind of the sacrifice that we have to make. I did kind of miss the proc there, so it's not the most, it's not the best timed. And I was a bit early there with the 6th skill, but let's see how this goes. I'm taking a lot of damage, and I'm kind of worried that he's gonna die again. But I think this proc should be really nice. Yeah, it wasn't as good as I thought it would be. He's taking a lot of damage. I'm kind of shocked. We're gonna proc here on 5 just because. Whoa there, Denelli, calm down. I'm used to him basically being immortal with a CTP of regen, and this is actually kind of scary with no supports. Yeah, it's hard. How do you stay alive? We're gonna proc on 5 here. Yeah, damage is not bad, but you really need to stack the all defense down to get that real good damage flowing. So we're gonna try to do that now. We're going to try not to die as well. We're just going to go right into 5 because I don't know, otherwise we're going to die. We did get the proc nicely, and we did get all that damage. There we go. It's quite hard, I would say. It's quite hard to see Deadpool's damage. That was 1 minute and 20 seconds. It is quite hard to see how much damage Deadpool is doing because the all defense down, it spikes your damage so much. So I actually think I want to try again without using his 6th skill. I just want to try procking on we're gonna do a different test. This is just on the fly. I'm thinking about it because the first proc after the 6th skill wasn't that good, and then the second proc after the 6th skill was like 4 bars, which is actually insane. So there's so much variance there. I'm gonna try something different. We're just gonna proc we're just gonna do 4 cancel 5, and then we're gonna do 3 2 and 1. We're gonna ignore his tier 3 skill. And we're just going to try to just see how much damage he would do with just his 5 skills. So this is kind of like half tier 2, half tier 3 type of test. So here we're going to proc on 4 with a CTP of Energy, and that did okay damage, about half a bar. We're going to try to... Jesus, he dies so fast. I'm just trying to get a better feel for his damage before we switch, and maybe bumping up the damage, maybe bumping up the level and switching out, or maybe not, maybe bumping down the level. So that was 50. The first test was 55. This test is going to be 50. Maybe bumping down the level so he just doesn't die, because that's the tricky part with Deadpool. I mean, 1 minute 20 is honestly not that long, and I feel like I could have done it faster. I could have done it in less than a minute if I had not missed my first proc after the first stack of all defense down after the skill. We're gonna get snared here. This is so annoying. It's actually really hard for Deadpool specifically to make these tests because of the fact that his all defense down just really skews the numbers. But okay, let's see what happens here. Let's see how long this takes. Let's see what this proc looks like. It looks like it's usually the 4th skill on the proc is usually about half a bar. That's honestly what it... Wow, I just got canceled there. That's cool. It looks like half a bar when his 4th skill gets the CTP of Energy proc. We're gonna try his 5th skill here and see how much damage this is with a little bit of all defense down. Didn't really look that hot there with the proc, but I think this kind of slower rotation and ignoring the all defense down and just seeing how much damage he's doing otherwise. I mean, there is still defense down, but there's no tier 3 skill defense down. Allows you to see how much the CTP of Rage would really impact. So that was About a minute. Okay, so we have a few kind of rough estimates, and again, you have to use the eye test. You have to look at your raid level. You have to look at the way things are, and also you have to look at the character, because a lot of people, for example, will say to me, "Oh, Cynicalex, Luna Snow is so high on everyone's tier lists and on your tier list, and she's such a good character. Why shouldn't I give her a CTP of Rage? Why should I give it to Luna? Why should I give it to Captain Marvel or Thanos instead of Luna?" Well, Luna's really, really good with the CTP of Energy. She's almost good enough that you never even have to use a rage on her. So it's kind of like my old analogy, if you guys remember back in the day, putting a chainsaw on a chainsaw. If she doesn't need it, then you're kind of wasting its potential, whereas Captain Marvel or Thanos for PVE will get a much larger bump compared to a CTP of Energy. So I think Deadpool is going to end up being like Luna Snow. That's my prediction, that he's going to end up being more like Luna, where and I have a very well-rolled CTP of Rage, where he ends up being, not that much better, or slightly better, or the same in terms of damage. Now, I do have to tweak a couple of things around, because I believe his crit rate is way too high, and his crit damage and his dodge needs a bit of changing. So we are, oh, that was recovery rate. Wow. Okay, so we're going to change this one to crit damage, if we can get that. Well, dodge was the first one, crit damage was the second one. That's perfect. So we got 181 now on the crit damage. And then this is recovery rate, which we can change to, I want to dodge. Well, we have dodge there. If we change this to skill cooldown, we can change this to dodge. Okay, let's do that. So let's change this to dodge. If we ever roll dodge, maybe I'll get luckier. Who knows? From now on, playing on a phone instead of playing on a, oh, we're going to lose some cooldown, though. I didn't realize that, because this uniform is not mythic. We lost about 500 cooldown. We're at 47.8. I think that's still fine, because for one of the tests, for the second test, we're not even using maximum, we weren't even using the tier 3 skill, so it's actually good that we did that. The first test will be a little bit kind of imbalanced towards the CTP of Energy, but the second test will be just fine. So we're going to go back, and the first thing, we'll actually test the stage 51 first. So that took, it was about a minute to get down to 11 bars with this team, and now we're going to try it out with a CTP of Rage. How does it work? This is the first time. I've never seen this before. I've never seen anyone actually test Deadpool with a CTP of Rage, so this should be interesting. I think I'm going to try to do 1 first. I think that's the idea here. 1 and then 2, yep, and then we got the proc. So we have the CTP of Rage proc. It's almost done. Okay, you can't really fit 4, and you can't do 5 and 4. Like they're too long. His skills are too long to fit them both in the CTP of Rage. But you can do 5 or 4. So you can trigger the proc with 1, 2, and 3, and then you can kind of choose whether you want to do 4 or 5. It seems like 5 is still doing more damage. Oh, that's his tier 3 skill. I almost did his tier 3 skill by accident. But yeah, it doesn't seem to be too impressive, because he's not taking advantage of that chain hit damage. Yeah, it just doesn't seem that hot. I mean, you can't really, you can cancel if you want, but I mean, we can try canceling here and seeing what happens. That's a skill canceled CTP of Rage proc. And then yeah, you only have 2 seconds left. So the problem here, at least for this situation, and I'll do one more, is that Deadpool's 5 and 4 are both really long skills, and they both do really good damage. So you kind of end up having to choose, when you proc your Rage CTP, am I going to do 5 or am I going to do 4? And that's where you can compare a character like Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel's 2 best skills are 4 and 3, and they're both long animations. They take about 3 seconds each to animate. So if she only had a 5-second Rage proc, you might not see a very large bump compared to a CTP of Energy, because you could only fit one of those 2 skills. But because CM, Captain Marvel's tier 2 passive, gives her that duration buff, which bumps the CTP of Rage to 7 seconds, you can now fit the 4th skill, the 3rd skill, and sometimes even the 2nd skill in. And I imagine that if Deadpool had 7 seconds of a Rage proc instead of 5 seconds, he would definitely be way better with a Rage proc. than a CTP of Energy, but because you can only fit in one of those skills, you can see it's only doing about half a bar. And we're gonna try. There's the trigger basically right at the beginning of the 4th skill, and yeah, it's doing kind of under half a bar. It's not quite even doing a full bar. Let's try to stack a little bit more all defense down and see if that kind of synergizes with the CTP of Rage. We're gonna stack the 1. Stack the 3 and then go into the 4. We didn't get the Rage proc just yet, so the all defense down actually ran out, which is kind of embarrassing. But let's see here. Let's try to stack it here, and then so we stacked it, and then let's see how much more damage. Yeah, it's not bad. It's close to a full bar, but it's still not a full bar. Let's see here with this all defense down, how much that does. Yeah. Honestly, if I was looking at this from your perspective, this doesn't impress me that much. To spend such an expensive resource like a CTP of Rage, which is so rare, and you're basically getting the exact same time, 1 minute, to get down to 11 bars. It's pretty much what I expected, that it's not going to be better, that it's going to be identical or almost slightly worse. And then you also can't even do 5 cancel. I mean, you could do 5 cancel 4, but it seems like 4 does more damage than 5 now. I don't know. Let's try 55, and this one will be using all skills. I'm still going to have to use a modified rotation, but let's see what happens. Yeah, I'm not really sure what to expect, but we are going to be using the 6th skill this time. We're still going to be trying to trigger on 1, 2, and 3, and then just go ahead with... But then what do we... How do we build up? It's gonna take longer to build up the tier 3 proc, so I think we're just gonna have to do 4 anyways, even though it's gonna be off the proc for the majority of the hits, because we need that. So what? This is 3 seconds left. Rage proc tier 3 skill, and then we're gonna want to stack 1, and then we're gonna want to stack 3, and then hit her with the 4, I guess. So this is all defense down plus rage proc. Yeah, it does. That was kind of sad. The advantage is that he has more dodge now, so he's kind of harder to kill, but this is kind of sad. This damage is worse? It seems worse. Does it seem worse to you guys? We're going to actually... What we're going to do here is save his tier 3 skill because she's too close to the next phase. There she goes. And I actually got down to the next phase. Remember, originally, it was a minute 20. So we're going to trigger the tier 3 skill here because this is probably going to crit, because there's so many hits, and this is going to be the rage proc, and we're going to actually bounce it over to the next rage proc there, and this should be the all defense down plus the rage proc plus, yeah, okay, so it looks to be about, I did 5 cancel 4 by accident. Honestly, this looks very similar to a CTP of Energy, possibly, again, possibly worse, and this is all defense down with the rage proc. Yeah, I think what's happening is, Deadpool's all defense down is lowering the boss's defense so much that the Rage CTP has nothing to ignore. You know, if you read the text here, it says ignores boss's damage decrease by 60%. But if the damage decrease is tied to the all defense, and if the all defense is already so low, what happens? I'm not really seeing a very large bump. I'll keep it on. I'll keep the rage on for a few more tests, and I'll do some more tests on the live stream. And if you guys have more tests that you want to see from me, I will get them done. I don't want to give you a final verdict on this because I know it's a pretty important test, and I haven't seen anyone else do it. But my intuition, my Marvel Future Fight gut is telling me to buy pastries. But it's also telling me that the Rage CTP is probably a bad idea for Deadpool. Again, not a bad idea in the sense that it's going to make him worse, but a bad idea in the sense that you can get similar and possibly better results with a well-rolled CTP of Energy, and then you can save that Rage CTP, the much rarer, for a character that can take better advantage of it. You know, it's better to give a hockey player a hockey stick than to give them a golf club. I mean, they can swing both, but they're going to hit better with that hockey stick than with the golf club. That's probably the best analogy I can come up with on the fly. So let me know what you think of the new look. Let me know if you like stars or black bars like the movies. Let me know what you think of the Deadpool CTP of Rage, CTP of Energy comparison. and I can't wait to bring more videos to you guys, especially with the upcoming X-Men update. Hit me up in the comments. Let's have a conversation, Twitter, Discord, etc. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.